Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Blackish University. I wanted to take some time to go over the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. I see a lot of people, with these comments like, man, it was racist, bro. Anybody could they're letting people get away with murder in Wisconsin now. And, bro, I'm all up for civil rights and protecting people's rights. And if this was a racist or discriminatory process, I think it's definitely something that we should argue. But I think we got to pick and choose our battles as minorities. And as I've went through this case in detail, and I think he had a good defense attorney and someone that can guide him. So I, in fact, think that he should not have been charged with murder, and he was right to get off with it. And I'll go over some of that now. And again, that's not to say that Kyle's not an idiot for what he did, but being an idiot isn't a crime. And his attorney positioned the crime well enough where they have an out. And that's, I'm sure you've heard this before. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And I hate to take that approach with law, but, here at Blackish University, we tell it how it is. And there are some things that you can do to help get away with crimes like this. And Kyle took advantage of that. So a lot of people ask, who is Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Keep hearing his name. Kyle Rittenhouse is a young white, he was 17 years old when this happened. And he was a former high school dropout that was bullied throughout his education. He had to enroll at somewhere called Penn Foster. A lot of people might be aware of it. They give you like an online high school degree. It's designed for non-traditional students so he could escape from the possible harassment and still complete his high school education. At one point, his mom even tried to protect him by trying to get a protection order against these bullies at school. After that, really, Kyle just became fixated on having power. And he began to explore the fire department training program for teens, the police department cadet program, the Blue Lives Matter movement, and, of course, the Donald Trump presidential campaign. And I normally don't highlight these things because, he can do whatever he wants, right? It doesn't mean he committed a crime. But I think this paints a picture of him. He's that type of dude that becomes a cop, then uses his authority to boss around people of color. It's like one of those types. You've been bullied all your life, and now you want to be a cop, so you have some authority, and then you go home and slap around your wife and kids, and you think you're all cool because you're a cop, bro. So that explains who he is. So, Kyle, you get no cool points here. But who is Jacob Blake? Jacob Blake was a 29-year-old black man. He was stopped by the police. Now, he did have warrants. But again, for people that aren't people of color, man, you can have a warrant in a community for anything. There's bench warrants and a regular warrant. It basically means you didn't show up for court or you were wanted in connection with some sort of crime or alleged crime, right? Because in the hood, man, it could be just your baby mama saying that you hit her so she can get you arrested for the night. And that happens more often than we think. It's happened to me before, so I know it happens. But Jacob Blake, he had warrants for third-degree sexual assault, criminal trespassing, and disorderly conduct. Now, we want to get to it. I'm not trying to smear his name, but if we're going to talk about Kyle, I want to talk about Jacob, right? On August 23rd, the person that filed the complaint against Jacob Blake, they called 911 and said that he was at her home. When police arrived, I don't know exactly what the situation was. Some people said he was there trying to break up another fight or what. But when the police came, they ended up tasing him twice, and they shot him several times in the back in front of his kids. And now he's paralyzed. The entire encounter was filmed and went viral on social media, and people wanted justice, and the riots and all of the protests from Breonna Taylor and George Floyd were really fresh on everyone's mind. And again, I can't put an emphasis on this enough. If you're getting stopped by the cops, use your right to remain silent. Don't let them search your vehicle. Don't do a DUI check for weed or liquor. But the most important thing is to stay calm. You got to make it back home. I get it. You got to be a man. You're in front of your wife and kids. But what can you do now that you're paralyzed, bro? You know, it's like you gotta just don't resist arrest. Even resisting arrest is a crime in itself, even if it's an illegal arrest. So remember that. So now, where did this violence take place? Well, on August 25th, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, they've already had 2 nights of protest, or what some would call civil unrest, right? There was violence, there was rioters, there was looting. People were upset about what happened to Jacob Blake. So Kyle Riddenhaus, and again, he's 17 years old, he goes into Kenosha, supposedly to help clean graffiti off a school. So remember, he's Mr. Do-Good, trying to fit in, right? And he's fitting in with these, like, I want to be a cop when I grow up face, right? So he goes there, he's cleaning up graffiti, but he goes with his friend to visit some of these places that were looted, rioted on, whatever, in previous nights. So they go to a used car dealership with his sister's boyfriend. And basically this guy's like, man, you guys are armed. Why can't you guys protect my property? And they make whatever deal with the owner of the business, and Kyle's there. You know, I could probably make an argument that, he can't get in that sort of agreement. I don't know if there was any exchange of something of value. Or I don't know if he's old enough to technically get in that agreement by himself since he's not 18. But nonetheless, he was with someone that was going back to this dealership. And this person previously purchased an AR-15 for him. So Kyle seems excited about the opportunity. He goes and he purchases a gun strap that allows him to secure his gun to his body. But he still seems to have good intentions, and he brings a medical kit to provide first aid to anyone that might be injured. Keep in mind, he's with that fire department training program. So my initial thoughts on the case were, is this a good suburban kid that's cleaning up graffiti, protecting businesses, and offering first aid? Or is this a troubled high school dropout that was eager to fit in somewhere and joined an armed militia, just like you would say an inner city kid might join a gang looking to find acceptance, right? So the case highlights that he held fundraisers for Blue Lives Matter. He joined a firefighter cadet team, and he claimed he was a paramedic the whole night. In fact, he was lying. Is he just a loser looking to be a hero, right? Like some version of like a hero complex. So anyway, at 10:45 that night, Kyle Rittenhouse, he interacts with the police department, and he actually asked them for bottled water. Like, that's what it means to be white. You're in the middle of a protest, rioting, looting, you're walking around with an assault rifle, and you ask the police for bottled water. Come on, bro. If the police would have pulled up on a black dude, they would have wanted to see his identification, proof that he can have that weapon, and they'd also question what he's really doing there. The police say, they give him a bottle of water, and they say, we appreciate you guys, we really do. To a young, troubled man, some might even call a Stan in their own right, he's eager to fit in, he's desperate to find his place in the world. This might have been distorted by young Kyle and interpreted as if the police force was welcoming his presence at the protest and thankful for his armed assistance. At that point, it's not unreasonable to believe that he felt like part of the team. So about 1 hour later at 11:45, Kyle gets separated from the private armed security group. Remember the girl that's dating his sister or such. And he clashes with a mentally unstable man named Joseph Rosenbaum. Now, Joseph's 36 years old, and the information that we received has told us that he was released that same day from a hospital, possibly a mental hospital, after attempting to take his own life. He's a man with a small frame. He's approximately 5'4", 150 pounds. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse claims that Joseph Rosenbaum and him exchanged words, and Joseph said, "If I catch any of you fuckers alone, I'll fucking kill you." Later that evening, when Kyle is walking alone, Joseph Rosenbaum jumps out from behind a vehicle and ambushes Kyle Rittenhouse and chases him until he corners him. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse testified that another man was working with Joseph Rosenbaum and started shouting, "Get him and kill him." Now, the other man is identified as Joshua Zeminski. Now, police agree that Joshua Zeminski was armed, and he actually fired a warning shot in the air as Kyle Rittenhouse was being chased. Now, it was only seconds after that gunshot that Kyle turned around to see that he was being attacked by Joseph Rosenbaum and possibly Joshua Zeminski. Remember, all of this has happened within a few seconds. Is it not reasonable to believe that Kyle thought someone might be shooting at him? Now, I believe Kyle mentioned during his testimony that he didn't believe he was being shot at. So that kind of takes that, and that's why what I tell people all the time is keep your mouth shut. Use your right to remain silent. It's not that a lawyer is going to know better than you about the situation. It's that you're not privy to, you don't know understand the ins and outs of the law. Now, because this would have actually been a great defense, right? It's reasonable to believe that Kyle would think that someone's shooting at him. If they said, "If I catch you, I'm going to kill you," if they say, "Get him and kill him," and they fire a shot, he would have been within reason to turn around and fire back, killing Joseph Rosenbaum and possibly Zeminski. So that's why he should have kept his mouth shut. If you never said that you didn't believe you were being shot at, you might have had another something to use as a defense. So, again, this could have strengthened his self-defense claim. I would have checked the timing between the warning shot and when Kyle turned around to open fire. But it is said that Joseph Rosenbaum lunged at Kyle and grabbed his weapon, and Kyle fired 4 shots, killing him. So now Kyle claims that he began running towards the Kenosha police officers that were at the end of the block to tell them what happened, but a mob of people were trying to attack him, possibly thinking it was an active shooter situation. Now, as he's running for approximately 2 blocks, the small-time recorder that's documenting the evening catches up with Kyle, and he asks him, "Hey man, did you just commit a crime?" Kyle lies about it, and he says that someone pulled a gun on him. And he says something as he continues moving, and we're not 100% sure of everything that was said, but Kyle continued to run in the direction of the police. Now, the good thing is, this night, there were dozens of cameras out, right? So there's a lot of information detailing those events, right? Kyle being chased, him making that shot, him even running after he's killed Joseph Rosenbaum. The only thing that's not on tape, and I don't think this is an accident, is earlier in the day when Joseph Rosenbaum and Kyle got into it, with him saying, he said, "If I catch you, I'm going to kill you." And I honestly don't think it happened. I think the defense team made it up, and they were intelligent in doing so because it gives a credible defense. If Joseph Rosenbaum did say that, then it's reasonable to believe that he was going to hurt Kyle if he caught him, and Kyle's life was at risk, there was imminent danger, and Kyle could rightfully kill him or use deadly force. So I don't think that actually happened. I think that, the defense realized that they made the mistake of Kyle saying that he wasn't being shot at, so you can't use that. They have to say that there was some reason there was a threat. And of course, it's the only thing of the whole evening that's not on camera. So the prosecution claims that Kyle could have spoken to the reporter and not lied about Joseph Rosenbaum having a weapon. They also argued that he could have stopped and put his weapon down. But as we can see in the footage, he's not out of harm's way. The crowd is shouting that, hey, that guy just killed someone. And within a few minutes, if that amount of time, he's attacked again, right? I think any reasonable person would admit that he did the right thing by continuing to move towards the police. If he drops his weapon, someone might use it on him. And if he stopped to explain himself, he would have just been attacked earlier. So the best thing to do is just make it to the police, turn yourself in, fight this in court, right? There's enough video evidence to hopefully support your claims. But before he can reach the police, someone runs up and hits Kyle in the head. It's a man named Anthony Hoover. And he hit Kyle in the neck, in the head, with a skateboard. And then another person, identified as simply as Jump Kick Man, runs up and just gets his licks in. Bow! Kicks Kyle in the head. Now, it's unclear if Anthony Hoover, the one who hits him with the skateboard, and Jump Kick Man understand that there was a confrontation that ended up with Kyle protecting himself in self-defense from a crazy person that just got out of a mental institution. That's pretty reasonable to believe. They might have just heard the crowd saying there was an active shooter that needed to be taken down. So Anthony Hoover, and again, this guy's got some balls. He's only got a skateboard. After he whacks Kyle Rittenhouse in the neck and head, he circles back with a skateboard. Kyle's already fallen to the ground. He's taken a foot from Jump Kick Man, and he's in a very vulnerable position. And then Anthony makes this fatal mistake. He tries to pull the gun away. Now, say what you want about Kyle Rittenhouse, but this is not his first rodeo with a weapon. You can see by the device that he's wearing that keeps his weapon attached to him, and the way he moves that this is not something that's new to him. And he said he's done hunting, and this is not someone who doesn't know how to handle a weapon or might get scared and drop it. This is someone who thinks that he's a junior cop, a junior firefighter. I'm protecting businesses. This person is in the wrong. So they're trying to grab his weapon, and he fires it. Anthony shot, and he dies on the scene. There's 2 people down, 2 bodies. So another bystander, again, you got all these Captain Save-Ems, right? But again, you think it's an active shooter, and you're trying to protect the crowd. This guy named Gage Groskowitz, sure I'm not saying that right, testified that he thought Kyle was an active shooter, and he ran towards Kyle Rittenhouse. And you can see that Kyle doesn't attempt to shoot Gage. When Gage's hands are raised, he didn't seem to be a threat. Nobody else that Kyle ran past while he was running supposedly towards the cops does he ever point the pistol at. So at some point, this guy Gage changes his mind, and he begins to raise his pistol, and Kyle Rittenhouse again shoots again and blasts the guy in his arm. Kyle then leaves the scene, and he walks with his hands up towards the police in an attempt to turn himself in. Even though people are still screaming, he just shot everyone down there, he did it. He simply walked right past the police as he was trying to turn himself in. But keep in mind, it's a very hectic evening, and the streets were like a war zone. So police officers actually sprayed Kyle in the face with some sort of deterrent, thinking that he's some sort of protester approaching their vehicle. So Kyle actually gets in his car and goes back home to Antioch, Illinois, and he turns himself in the following morning with his mom. If that was one, he should be lucky that he didn't kill anybody that was black. If you killed someone that was black, the crowd would have also thought that you were anti-black, and you would have got that ass whooped. Ooh, you would have got that ass whooped. But also, he should also be glad that he is not black, because he would have never made it off that street. The cops would have seen him. They might have shot him since he was armed. especially if they knew he just killed 2 people. But the big question with the defense that people are asking, is this self-defense, or is this some young schmuck who killed 2 people trying to be a hero and going somewhere he didn't belong without knowing all the facts? Did he get himself in over his head? Well, I think it's important to understand the definition of self-defense. Now, in Wisconsin, and this is under 939.48, Wisconsin legislator, they say that a person is privileged to threaten, or intentionally use force against another for the purpose of preventing or terminating what the person reasonably believes to be an unlawful interference with his or her person by such other person. The actor may intentionally use only such force or threat as the actor reasonably believes is necessary to prevent or terminate the interference. The actor may not intentionally use force which is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm unless the actor reasonably believes that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself. So you get to the nitty-gritty of that. You can use deadly force, but only when you think that it's to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm. Now, one can argue that jump kick man by kicking you in the face, someone grabbing your gun, mentally challenged man chasing you and saying, "I'm going to kill you." Those are, any reasonable person would think that their life is being challenged. So as I look over the facts of the case, I try to envision everything that happened over the 3 days of deadly protests and violence. Now, there's many heavily armed people. There's fires burning in the street, looting. I mean, it's chaotic. Emotions are running high. And in Wisconsin, you won't be prosecuted if you were using self-defense as necessary to prevent imminent death. So, we have to leave all bias at the door. And I know that's tough, even as a person of color. Now, you might not support the Second Amendment. You might hate Donald Trump and his followers. You might hate the Blue Lives Matter movement for going against the Black Lives Matter movement. You might think Kyle is an idiot to bring an AR-15 to a hostile environment. But we have to remember that poor judgment is not a crime. Being an idiot is not a crime. We're only exploring criminal conduct. Now, the first person that attacked Kyle was unarmed. And that's important, because for this to be considered self-defense, Kyle would have to be preventing imminent death or great bodily harm to himself. Now, this is key, right? If Kyle thought his life was in danger, he was justified in shooting Joseph Rosenbaum. And that privilege, that's what they call privilege, would apply to the other charges, basically meaning that he can get away with the crime. Now, the defense claims that Joseph Rosenbaum said, "If I catch you by yourself, I'm going to kill you." And again, we have excellent footage from local news stations, social media streams. There was FBI drone footage, but no one else heard this threat, and it's not found on any of the videos, even though most of the time Joseph Rosenbaum was actually with the small-time recording crew that was documenting the evening. So if the evidence points to Kyle acting in defense, the burden shifts to the prosecution to disprove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was acting in self-defense. So I think it is reasonable to assume that Kyle Rittenhouse saw Jacob jump from behind the car, and he thought his life was in danger. When Gage Groskowitz fires that warning shot, I think it's impossible for Kyle to determine if these people are shooting at him or not. Joseph allegedly told him that he would kill him if he caught him by himself. So when he turned around and saw someone lunging at him and reaching for his gun, he fired his weapon. Now, I don't think Kyle had intentions on mass killing anyone that night. If that were the case, he had 30 rounds of ammunition. Why is it that he only injured people, or the only dead people, are the ones that attacked him? So, what will the verdict be? Well, there's a few different things. There's a variety of different counts for the charges. Now, count 1 was reckless homicide, and that's one of the most important ones. That's against Joseph Rosenbaum. Now, Kyle is not denying that he shot Rosenbaum, and he's saying there's nothing reckless about the shooting. He shot Rosenbaum to save his life and stop himself from being disarmed. He's privileged under the law of self-defense. The state must prove that he didn't have the right to self-defense. Count 2, recklessly endangering safety. And that's with a guy named Richie McGinnis. Now, it's important, that first charge is so important because the self-defense carries over from the Rosenbaum shooting. If the defendant were acting lawfully in self-defense, his conduct did not create an unreasonable risk to another. The second part, Kyle Riddenhaus didn't know Richie McGinnis was in close proximity prior to shooting Rosenbaum. Richie McGinnis is a citizen journalist, and he put himself in harm's way. He wasn't in the line of fire. Count 3 was recklessly endangering safety, and it was what's considered a non-complaining witness. That was Jump Kick Man. There's no evidence that he observed or knew about the confrontation. He was the fourth member of a mob to attack Kyle Rittenhouse. But it's important to note that the kick to Kyle Rittenhouse's head is a force that's likely to cause great bodily harm or death, or serious bodily injury. And that is on camera. Count 4 is the shooting of Anthony Hoover, who's a rioter. He's kind of a bad guy. He's pushing a dumpster lid on fire. He's picking up pepper balls and throwing them back. He's on video putting his middle finger at the police, and he's supposedly assisting Joseph Rosenbaum at the gas station. Well, he's the one that hits Rittenhouse twice, and he attempts to disarm Kyle Rittenhouse. Count 5 is attempted homicide. That's that Gage Groskowitz, and he's claiming that this was self-defense. Again, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rittenhouse was wrong in protecting himself. Seconds before the shooting, Rittenhouse points his gun at an unarmed man, and he doesn't shoot. So he's obviously being selective. He's not just shooting anyone. And this happened at the same time. Groskowitz stops with his hands up, and he has a gun in his right hand, right? Kyle's not shooting him until he aims that gun at Kyle. And then Kyle also told the Groskowitz, "I'm going to the police. I had to shoot in self-defense." So those are the charges against Kyle. Now, the defense believes the timing of the detectives is very important. They arrived at Antioch less than 4 hours after the shooting happened. Kyle was under arrest. There wasn't an autopsy done. There's tons of witness statements that need to be taken. All of the bullets weren't even picked up, but the police were under a lot of pressure at that time to file charges. There were multiple nights of unrest, and they really needed to move quickly on this case. Now, he was charged on the 27th before any information was finalized, and his self-defense argument was even understood. Now, there were a lot of incorrect details about the crime online, and there was a rush to judgment from a variety of different sides. So, provocation. Did Kyle Rittenhouse point his gun at Joseph Rosenbaum earlier that night to provoke him? So why would Joseph state that he wanted to kill Kyle? What's that all about? It's not on tape anywhere. Why would he just single out the 17 or 18-year-old kid? Now, the defense offers a theory that Joseph might have thought Kyle was someone else. He had a confrontation earlier, and the guy was dressed like Kyle. He had a similar weapon, a t-shirt, and a baseball cap. So, what's the reason for being in the middle of Kenosha during a night of civil unrest? One could say, if Kyle wasn't protesting the shooting of Jacob Blake, he's not an EMT, and he didn't live in the area, well, why did you show up with an AR-15, a bulletproof vest, and 30 rounds of ammunition? The owner of CarSource, the dealership they were protecting, they wouldn't vouch for him. But there's a few different questions to think about. Kyle's personality as well. He was seen during this night walking with a fire extinguisher to put out fires, not messing with anyone. He shouted friendly, friendly, friendly when he was around others. He spent most of the day cleaning up graffiti from the high school. And really, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't have to take the stand. When they cross-examined him, he knew that it would be hours, and he wanted to tell the story the best way that he could. Let's also remember that every person that was shot was attacking Kyle in some manner. What were the motivations, and what happened here? Well, what happened was, I can summarize this by saying Kyle Rittenhouse does seem to be a bit of a coward. He's a stereotypical guy that gets bullied all of his life, and he wants some sort of power and control, and he made some very bad decisions on this day. But we have to remember, he was only 17 years old, and he should be judged as that. I don't think he intended to kill anyone that night, and he's definitely guilty of bad judgment, but I don't believe that he deserves life behind bars. I think this is very unfortunate, what happened. And I think some people lost their life if this idiot of a kid never had access to a gun in the first place. But, and I don't think that Joseph Rosenbaum actually said, "I'm going to kill you." I think that's the only reason, and a good defense attorney knows this. You added that to the mix, and he got off because of it. If Joseph Rosenbaum did make those threats, it doesn't matter if he's unarmed. He could have killed Kyle in a variety of different ways. And if we believe that, then the case is done. And that's exactly what happened. The jury must have believed that Joseph Rosenbaum, who was already in this fragile mental state, said that he was going to kill this kid. Whether it be mistaken identity or he was just pissed at him for whatever reason. But unfortunately, Kyle was ready to pull the trigger, and he did. And that privilege carries on, and he got away with it, right? He got away with the crime, and as much as it sucks, and as much as I think this could have went very differently, if he might have been a person of color, I do think they came up with the right, as much as it could be frowned upon, I'm sure I'll get some feedback on it, I think they came up with the right decision in not prosecuting.